stopping by to watch this video. Today I'm going to be going over where I would enter into the market and how I would be going for my certain targets once I enter into the market. So first off, you probably need to watch my other video on market structure, but for starters with this example, with EU, as EU made this rally to the top side, after it retraced and broke our 50 EMA, as you can see, once it tried to complete and continue on the bullish trend right here, price failed to go higher than the previous high. So this is what you would call a lower high. And anytime you have a lower high followed by another break in structure, this is where I like to enter into the market. So particularly, I was on the hourly time frame. I'm going to jump down to the 15-minute time frame, and I'm going to show you specifically where I would enter into the market. So once we have identified that we have a lower high, and you can see that price had a nice little drop right here. You can see it retrace back, and this is where some people like to throw in their fib and etc. and do all those other things, but I just particularly like to pay attention to this particular candle right here. This is the candle and the first candle that opened and closed beneath our moving average. So I'm going to mark this candle, right, as our continuation entry candle, and I'm going to throw a vertical line on here as well. So these are the candles I like to enter off of, and I usually just put my stop loss above or below the nearest structure. And for specific time frames, I go for specific targets. Now, I usually go for an overall fib target. So what I mean by that, if I throw my fib retracement, and if I throw my fib retracement and I see it retraced whatever percentage it goes to, my first target, I'll usually take it to the negative 13 extension. But before it can get there, price usually moves 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, etc. pips. So I like to take partials in between. So for a 15-minute time frame entry, I'm going to be taking partials at 10, 20, and 30 pips. So I'm going to mark these to show you. So if we entered right here at 21, 220 area, 10 pips from that would be 21, 120. That'd be 10 pips. 20 pips would be 21, 020. If I can click this fast enough, 21, 020. And then 30 pips would be 20, 920. All right, and this is how I take partials in between me going to my real target. Because most of the time, price may not go to your real target, but you will have some money to be made. So from your entry, the stop loss looks to be 44, 40-ish. Let me zoom in on the screen. Price looks to be around 43 pips for a stop loss. And I'm going to just play it out so you can see. I'm pretty sure it goes around 20-something pips. Right? TP1 or your target one smashed. And then eventually, I think it retraced back up into the entry and then goes and hits your 20 pips. So overall, I think, and then if you go all the way down into current time, right, this is where we are currently in time. Actively, I'm still going to be in this trade because price is making lower highs. If you start here, we had a lower high here, we had another lower high, and now price looks like it's retracing to make another lower high to continue down. So I'm personally still in this trade. My stop loss is still where it is. A lot of people like to move their stop loss down to their entry. I only do so only half of my positions. So I have half of my positions with my stop loss and my entry, and I leave the stop loss where it is because more oftentimes than not, price will retrace to your entry multiple times and continue to hit your target over and over and over again. So if you know what to do, you could have collected like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or almost 100 pips just riding the wave back and forth. But this is just one example. Our next example I want to go over is Euro NZD. So same thing. If we have a rally to the upside, Right, we have this nice rally to the upside, and once price retraces and tries to continue back this bullish momentum, if it fails to close above the previous high and it gives you a lower high, this is setting you up for a reversal. So I'm going to replay the chart. And once I see that price gives me another lower high, like it does right here, I may throw in a fib. I may not. Really isn't that important, the fib. What's really important is your continuation candle. And I count that candle as your first candle that closes beneath your 50 moving average. So I'm going to mark this candle. All right, this is your continuation candle. I'm going to mark this vertical line. Boom. And like I said, your stop loss usually goes above your previous structure. So I'm going to put my stop loss here.
It's 1915.
Appreciate that, Ava. And I'm going to mark my 10, 20, and 30 TPs. Maddie, if you have a question, unmute yourself and ask. Somebody else may have the same question. So if our entry is 72, 254, 10 pips would be 154. 20 pips would be 054. 72, 054. I'm doing this right. 72, 154, 54, and then 71, 954. Right, so remember these are 10, 20, and 30 pips from your entry candle. And this again is just so I can be collecting partials. So as you can see, this one candle literally dropped over 30 something pips. So you would have collected all of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you what my real target is if I take it from this high to this low. Right, and my first target will be this negative 13 extension zone. And I usually use all the extension zones for my targets. So let's see how far it actually goes. I believe it comes down to the negative 272. I usually have my TP2 usually somewhere in this range. And I don't believe it does. But nonetheless, you would have collected 30 pips of profit as well as your original target profit. So I have multiple of targets that I usually hit before I even get my real target. So that's Euro NZD. I'm gonna go show you two more pairs, and I'm gonna end this video. I don't want to hold it too long. Second one is gonna be GBP USD. Same thing with market structure. All I do is pay attention to market structure. After you have this big collapse to the downside, price retraces, okay, and it gives you another lower high, followed by a continuation candle. Now, if you ever get confused and you don't know where to and when to enter into the market, you can use different things like your MACD or your stochastic. You can wait till the stochastic comes back to being overbought in this scenario. There's a lot of different things, but I just like to pay attention to the one candle, and that would be this first candle that closed beneath right here. I'm going to rewind it so people don't get confused and see exactly what I'm talking about. So after price, once again, it dropped, retraced, and then closed back below the 50 EMA. Now, if you're trying to figure out why I'm using this candle as opposed to this candle, or maybe even this candle, truth be told, I like to usually trade in a specific time zone. Trading session, which is New York session. Now, if you pay attention, this candle right here is 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is not New York. So I would mark this on my chart. Whether I enter in or not is really not important. What is important is where you know where you are in structure. Me, I personally probably would not have entered. I would have waited into New York session. And as you can see, price literally consolidated all the way up into London session and then dropped. I'm going to go ahead and mark this up. So if you pay attention to this first candle that closed below, right, that's where you would be wanting to enter into the market at 33,500 area. Stop loss would be above here, right? And first target is 10 pips, 33.4. I'm not going to mark it right now. I want to go ahead and go into New York session so I can show you something. New York starts around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And okay, boom, right here. I wanted to show you this. As you can see, this is New York session, right? This sale that happened right here is New York session. And from the entry, price dropped, I can't see what that, 61 pips. Price dropped 61 pips and then literally retraced all the way up back to your entry plus more. Now, pay attention what happens after, right, New York session opens. This candle literally happened like 15 minutes before New York opened, right? And we're back above, and then price comes back and closes again. So let's say, right, I missed this sale and I wake up for New York session only. I'm going to pay attention to this candle, right, that closed back below, and I'm going to enter in and do the same thing I did again. So now, after I know it's New York session, I'm going to go ahead and mark my 10, 20, 30, 33, 261. For time's sake, I'm not going to go and mark exactly where 10 pips is. I'm just going to go and do it like relatively. So it's like here, 260, 265, 160, and 060. All right. These are 15-minute entries, so I'm just doing 10, 20, 30. And I just wanted to show you how price literally hit 30 pips again and then retrace back up. I think it eventually drops. Actually, I think it reverses and goes to the upside. So if you're wondering why I'll be looking for sales and not these buys, the reason I'm not buying is because if you pay attention, I'm going to go delete everything off the chart. If you pay attention to the way that these, I'm going to highlight these candles right here that are closing back above the 50 EMA, these blue candles, price is not exceeding anywhere past these zones. It's rejecting, rejecting, rejecting. I'm not trying to buy in that. And overall, we're in a bearish structure. So I literally probably would not be trying to buy until price broke above here and did something like this. All right, and you would catch the trend, and I would be buying somewhere in my bag. So can I do it? Good. And I would probably be trying to buy like somewhere in here or in here. But nonetheless, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna show you this one last pair. I'm gonna go on about my day. USD peso. Okay. So I'm gonna rewind this. Once again, we're coming down in this big ass downtrend. Nice downtrend. Okay, price retraces. And the moment I close back below my 50 EMA, I'm riding. I'm in there. I'm good to go. So it's going to be this candle. And I want the candle that opens and closes. So even though this candle right here closed below, it was, when it opened, it was still above the 50. So I like the candles that open and close below. I'm going to mark that. This is my entry candle. This is my stop loss. And I like to go for 10, 20, 30. Now notice the time, 9:15. This is 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. This is New York session, so I would be entering into this trade. And once again, I go for 10, 20, 30. I'm not going to mark that just for time's sake. I'm just going to show you how price finally did drop. This little drop right here that it did, right here, it moved 50 pips in about 2 hours. So your 10, 20, and 30 partials, you would have been able to collect it. And my target probably would have been somewhere beneath this low. But I don't believe it does drop beneath that low. But I know because I've seen it actually traded it. Price came back and retraced and then dropped again. Now this entry right here, I want to show you guys something. A lot of times pairs will do whatever it wants to do without you. So I only like to trade New York session. But as you can see, price comes back, retraces, gives you another lower high, giving you a bearish structure, and it sells off again. So what I would have done, I'll just do this actually. I'll play this tool, put my stop loss above this high, and then, went for around 30-some pips. And as you can see, price drops again. Price retraces, gives you another entry candle, and then drops again. So the purpose of this video is I wanted to show you how you can be entering into the market relatively around the same place and just be collecting 10, 20, 30 pips, and at the end of a trading day make over 100 pips without trying to go for a big target like 50 and 100 pips. This pair and these 3 sales that happened, I don't believe it dropped over 50 pips. But if you would have took partials at 10, 20, 30 every single time, that's 30, 10 plus 20 is 30, 30 plus 20 is 50. So 50 pips, 100 pips, 150 pips you would have been able to collect in about a day and a half worth of trading time. Actually, I believe it comes in drops again. Yeah, this right here. Dropped again. And this was the bigger drop that it did. Yeah. So that was the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can just message me. And yeah, peace.